Welcome to the Mom Owned and Operated podcast, the podcast about moms and for moms, where we have candid conversations about running a business, raising a family, and remembering ourselves. I'm your host, Rita Suzanne, a single mom of four, digital strategist, and provider of no-nonsense business strategies and tactics.
Hi, this is Mom Owned and Operated, and I am Rita Suzanne, and today I am talking to Cammie Lumpkin from Cal 5 Digital. I am so excited to talk to you, Cammie, and please tell us a little bit more about you and your business.
Thanks, Rita. I'm so thrilled to be on today. My name is Cammie Lumpkin. I am a mom of three. I have three boys, 8, 10, and 12. I'm also a military spouse, so we've spent many years moving around the country, and we now live in Safety Harbor, Florida, which is right outside of Tampa. And my business is a digital marketing business. I run Facebook and Instagram ads for mom-owned businesses.
Oh, love it. I have just decided that I need to get into doing like just an awareness campaign, right? So it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. So, there's so many different things to take into consideration. So how long have you been in business?
About 18 months with this particular business.
Okay. So I know that we talked before and we talked a little bit about how you've had all these different iterations of your business. And I'd love to know a little bit more about that and what were the reasons why you had to kind of change and things had to evolve?
So I started pre-kids. I started out in corporate nonprofit, which I loved. And I took some time off realizing that having 3 kids in less than 4 years didn't really match up with the pay scale of a nonprofit. So I needed to take some time off for that. And then I soon realized when I thought about going back that it really didn't jive with moving as much as we were moving at the time. So I ended up randomly starting a jewelry business. I taught myself to do metalsmithing because we had moved to Kodiak, Alaska. And on the way, I decided in that month of travel, I wanted to buy a nice piece of jewelry that would signify that huge trip for us. And I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything that I liked. Everything felt very rustic and it just wasn't me. And this island had sea glass, right? The beach right behind our house had sea glass. And so that's how I got into doing that. And being there for 4 years, that became a really successful business. And so then it worked for me. I had a studio in our house and things were going well, but then it didn't translate very well when we moved again. And so I tried that for a couple years moving. Were you selling
local, or is that why it didn't translate? Or
it was sterling silver sea glass jewelry. I was selling wholesale to galleries and gift shops in Alaska. And so a big part of that business was something
relationships
that my family was proud of, and the relationships. My kids and I would beachcomb on a regular basis, and so they found the sea glass and they felt invested, and they were just really proud of that business that we had built. And so once the sea glass element was gone, that family element went away too. And so then it was just the hustle of going to art shows, 3-day long art shows, the setup, and my kids were getting older. They had sports all weekend. My husband is a military pilot, so at times he was gone and I was trying to juggle that and have 3 kids with me and get them to their sports and set up for these shows. And so with the family piece gone of us doing that together, it just didn't really fit anymore. And so it needed to be a hobby, really. But it wasn't. I mean, I stuck with it for a few more years after we left Alaska, and I was trying to figure out how to market my business. And So I learned Facebook and Instagram ads. I invested a lot of money into figuring out how to do ads for myself, and just quickly realized that I had bitten off more than I could chew as far as creating a product, going to art and running the ads. And really, I felt like running my ads was becoming a full-time job. And it was just a lot more complicated than I thought. So then I had several people say, well, you can run ads for me. You know, I need that too. And so I realized that that was a pivot I needed to make, because I could move with my laptop. I can have those relationships that I love so much that I was really missing, making my own jewelry. When you're making art like that, it can be really solitary.
Right.
And so I didn't want to be locked up in my studio by myself for hours at a time. I wanted to be working with people. So so it ended up being
like a natural transition for you.
Yeah, not the one I ever would have expected, but it fits our family a lot better.
Yeah, because you can work from anywhere and it's not really dependent on you sourcing. I mean, products and services are so different, right? It's just, especially a physical product, you know, like versus a digital product. So I can see why, especially with younger kids, because how old were your kids when you started and stopped?
Oh my gosh. When I started, I had a newborn, a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
When I transitioned to running ads, they were in 2nd, 4th, and 5th grade.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that it's a lot harder, you know, when you have such little kids. And, you know, I think that, you know, I started my business, my sons were, I want to say 3 and 5, and they would be sitting beside me. You know, I'd be on the couch, I'd have my laptop, and they would both just be sitting beside me. So, it's, you know, they didn't care what I was doing, but it became to the point where they would make drawings of me on my laptop all the time. Like that's all they would ever draw. Like that's all they think that I do. That's really the extent of what mommy does with her life. So tell us, like, now that you've transitioned into more of a service, what does your average day look like?
Oh my gosh, as a mom, my average day is never the same. I mean, aside from the fact that I get up at 6 a.m. every day so that I have a solid hour of work before they get up.
Right.
And it really, I had to learn, it's not quite batching work because that's not really my style, but
it's hard. Batching is hard.
It's hard for me. So I wouldn't say I batch my work, but it's really a matter of when I have an hour or two, I'm turning my phone off, I'm getting to work and making the most of it. And that those 2 to 3 hours to 4 hours are at different times. You know, it's always changing.
Yeah, because the kids are in school, and then you have, like you said, your kids are in sports. Are they in sports now this year because of all the changes?
They are. Where we live, they've been able to do sports, thankfully. So we have 4 sports between the 3 of them.
Oh, that's good though, because it gets them out of the house and off of the electronics, how we were talking earlier, how it's just become, you know, that's all they do.
So much screen time. So we're really fortunate that they get to play sports, and that keeps my kids sane, keeps our house a little bit less chaotic, and
except for you taking them and, you know, and all of that stuff too. But that's helping you build relationships with other moms, right?
Yeah, there was one day in this last spring that my husband was out of town, and I was in the car for 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
3 hours. I took one here, dropped them off, picked them up. I just was back and forth, and their sports at that time were across town. They weren't anywhere near us. I had to drop them off. They were in different towns. So we switched that. After that season, I said, okay, you know, maybe we're not going to do competitive soccer so far away. We're going to find some soccer that's in our town and that can help me. So I think that was the worst that it got, that I was in the car for 3 hours. But I really have learned how to get my work done during the day so that when I pick them up from the bus, I'm not on my phone. I'm not working. I'm doing sports with them. And And I've gotten to where I really am able to get it done so that I can have that evening with them. And honestly, by the time they go to bed, I'm exhausted.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted. So unless I have a deadline, I'm not working at night anymore.
Right. But I think the most important thing that you said was how, because now your kids are doing sports local to you, that you can actually get help. And I think that that's a struggle that a lot of us moms, like, we don't even really want to ask for help, And so I think that it's really important to get help in as many ways that we can. And I mean, I do this myself. So, asking for help sometimes is the hardest thing that we can do in anything.
I think that is a lesson that the military has taught me.
Mm-hmm.
That being a military spouse, we never live by family.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times where you have to ask for help. You're
right.
yourself, and your husband's gone for a long time, and it's just you with 3
right.
kids. So
right.
you have to. And that's part of that military community, that we're always willing to help other people in the same way, because you have to ask.
Right. I mean, otherwise you're just going to be stuck, right? It's just too much. So speaking of, that type of stuff, I don't want to say balance, but let's say, how do you make time for yourself on top of your family and your business?
I will say I'm really lucky because I have a super supportive husband. So when he's here, he champions me time.
Mm-hmm.
And but when he's not, I really think it comes down to basics. That I've realized I have to work out. That has to be a priority. And I really have figured out a system where I have my preferred, hour local boot camp exercise, but then I have backup, so that if I can't get there for that hour, by the time you get there and back and you shower, that's a lot of your day. Right. So I can't always do that. So I have, 25-minute workout video backup. I've made that a priority, that if I can't get to the one I really want to do, I still have the backup, or I could still go for a walk or a run, and I still have to make sure I shower and I look nice. And I've gone through iterations of that where I'm like, oh, forget it, I'm fine, But for me, just personally, when I look good, I feel good, and I know that.
Yeah.
I think that's self-care for me, and that's different for everybody. But putting the effort in just makes me a better businesswoman, a better mom, and it's simple stuff, but
well, I think that that's good. Making your workout a non-negotiable, right? It's like, either way, I have all of these things. And then the showering and the getting dressed, like, for me, I'm the same thing. Like, I have to get myself looking decent, most of the day, because what if I have to go to the store? What if I have to jump on a quick Zoom? What if I have to, talk to one of my kids, friends' moms or something, I want to at least present myself like I have my, like I feel better. I don't want to walk past the mirror and be like, oh shit, I want to actually look decent. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not wearing joggers and, and have my hair in a bun most, sometimes, but at least I feel better and I smell good,
It's a must. And it's really, to me, it's not for anybody else that I'm going to see. It's just
I agree.
I have to do it for myself. Or I feel like I'm just going to slide into, I don't know, mediocrity.
Well, I remember when I first started my business, I was so obsessed with making my business successful, right? Because I had to prove to everyone. I had quit my job where I was making really good money and moved from California to Ohio. And so I felt like I needed to prove myself to everybody else, because everybody thought I was crazy. Like, why are you quitting your job? You don't know how to do this. You don't know how to run your own business. So why are you doing this? And I was at a point where I was just ready, and I thought it was going to be easier. It was not easy. And so I would roll out of bed, literally look a hot mess. And, I was just so obsessed. I was staying up too late, getting up too early. And like I said, my kids were young at the time. And so I remember one of my friends, she was a coach, and she said to me, like, you need to project, yourself the way that you want to be seen. And you look like there's a lot going on. And so you need to get yourself a little bit, do these things, journal, work out. You need to you don't have to get glammed up every day, but at least look presentable so that you feel comfortable and confident, because that's what you're projecting to the world. And that has stuck with me over the 7 years that I've been doing this.
Because I think it's about mindset. And I didn't realize that when I started my own business. I just didn't realize how much mindset would play a part, because I was very like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And I just didn't think of the mushy-gushy stuff, the journaling and I just didn't want to do that. I just wanted to make money. I wanted to do my business and make money. Like I did not want to I didn't want to read any of the books. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. I just thought of the on paper things. Yeah. And then there's so much going on in your head as a business owner and as a mom, and you have all the mom guilt and the what are people going to think when I'm changing my business again?
Right. The fear of judgment, right?
Yes. And so you have to figure out a way to get over it. And me, if I'm moving my body and I'm, taking a shower, looking
out of your head, right?
That helps my mindset to stop thinking about that and stop thinking about what other people are going to think about it and get to work.
Because you feel comfortable, you feel confident now, and by exercising, you've released a lot of the stress, right? Yeah. Like, I feel like, if you have any issues, right? And we all have issues. If you want to deal with them head on, start a business. That's all you have to do. Right. Because
you will be forced to deal with them.
Right, exactly. That is what's going to happen every single time. And, speaking of starting a business, if a mom came to you and she said that she wanted to start a business, what would be your advice to her? Like, if you had to give her a couple of tips, what would they be?
It would be the advice that I got that has always stuck with me. That was start before you're ready. Because if I hadn't gone with that mantra and listened to that advice, I wouldn't be in business now, because I would just be constantly
analyzing.
Study and study and study. I love to learn and study, and I would be still doing that, thinking that I needed to know more than anybody else, and
to be prepared. You need to be the expert, even though you haven't done it.
And you can't. You've got to, at some point, you've got to just dive in and realize that person before you had kids, that educated, resourceful woman is still there. And, even though you're reading Goodnight Moon every night instead of the world news, like, you're still that smart,
you still have it.
Resourceful woman that you were when you had your corporate job or whatever it was. And whatever you need to figure out, you'll figure out as you go. And I realized with my Facebook ads business, before I even ran any ads, I knew more than 99% of people knew about ads. I had invested in learning. I had taken course after course, and I knew it. But I just had to do it, right? Because you're questioning yourself the whole time, thinking you don't know enough, and I need to know more, and I need to do this. And one thing that we mentioned earlier was how a lot of people think that maybe they all they have to do is the service that they're offering or create the product, but there's so much more that goes into creating your business, right? And so, yes, and I think that you can get paralyzed with all the things that you have to do. Really easy to say, well, I can't start it yet because I've got to set up this system, or I got to, and you know what? Like, most of us under pressure, we will make it happen. We will set up the system. We will do it as we go. And it's not going to be this linear path that we thought it was going to be, or that people around us think it should be. It's not. As a mom, like, our path to career success and to finding our calling, I just think it's not linear for many of us.
Right. So do you think then, because I have a lot of friends who don't have kids, and, sometimes I get envious because I feel like they can work all the time. They can put so much effort into having their business. But there's also the side of, do you think that being a mom has actually helped you in your business as well?
I absolutely absolutely do. I think back to before I had kids, and I don't think that I maximized my time because I didn't. I mean,
right.
You've got your whole work day. If you needed to work on something over the weekend, you could. And now I feel like what I got done in 8 hours, I can get it done in 4 now.
Right.
Because, just motherhood changes you in that way. You've spent years of sleepless nights that you're still making it happen, and you're still doing things. You're still getting work done with a child on your lap, and it's you just learn how to multitask better and how to maximize your time. Like I said, now when I have 2 hours, if I know that my kids are taken care of, my phone is turned off, and I'm making sure that in that 2 hours, I'm getting it done. Yeah.
Right. It's just like when I used to work at corporate, right? You spend 8 hours doing a lot of nothing, right? Like you come in, you do a lot, you do your work, whatever it is. And then there's the sit and wait period, right? Where you're waiting for the next project that you have to do, which is a lot of sitting and waiting. And that's why you're over there talking, you're not doing anything. And so I feel like what you're saying is almost the same thing, right? Like we as moms, like we know our time is limited. Like at 3 o'clock, I got to be done. And that's it. There's no procrastinating. If I need to get this done, I need to get it done, today. And I think that that's a better, it's better for us, right? Because we can do all of the things, right? At least try to as much as possible. So if someone wants to connect with you online, where would they find you?
I am at Cal5 Digital on Instagram. Same thing on Facebook, Cal5 Digital. My entire family, my husband and my 3 kids, and I all have the same initials, CAL. So that's where Cal5 comes from. It's just
it's cute.
Reminder to me of my why, and that it takes all 5 of us to run my business, because it certainly does. So
so sweet. I love it.
Either one. I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
Cal5. And then your website is cal5digital.com. Yes, if someone wants to hire you for Facebook ads or Instagram ads, right?
Need more time in their life.
And you need marketing, right? You need that consistent marketing, because I think that's the biggest thing is like little spurts of marketing, but no, to actually get the best effect, you need the consistency.
So I love taking that piece off of mom's plates, and that's just so important to me. Because I've been there. I've had my business, and it was hard. It was hard to run my business and do what I loved and do the marketing too. It just didn't. I didn't have enough time in the day for that, and I don't think most moms do.
No, we can't do all of the things. But thank you so much, Cammie, for sitting and talking with us today. I appreciate it. It was so nice to chat with you.
You too. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
And there you have it. I want to encourage you to remember that being a mom who runs her own business is not easy. We all struggle, but just keep moving forward and don't forget to make time for yourself. As moms, we are usually the first thing to go to the bottom of the list. If your business is overwhelming you and you need real solutions, not just some sugar-coated suggestions, apply to work with me at ritasuzanne.com/apply.